How's it going, folks? My name is Christopher Skerritt, and welcome to my TED Talk. Today we're going to be talking about bridging the gap in disability employment. Fun fact to set the stage for the rest of the talk is that 1 in 4 people in the U.S. population have a disability, which makes my job all the more important. I am a vocational rehabilitation counselor and vocational expert, depending on the day. Vocational rehabilitation is not drug and alcohol or occupational therapy. Vocational rehabilitation is a set of services designed to help people in various disabilities or health problems. It aims to assist in finding, keeping, or getting back to a job or other meaningful activities. This can include guidance from healthcare professionals, career counselors, and other support to overcome the challenges they face due to their condition. It can include, and I know that's a rather large chart, but it includes assessment and appraisal. Some days I'm a resume writer, some days I'm a career counselor, some days I'm a job coach. It really depends on the day what hat I'm going to wear. So this chart we're going to be going into a little bit further. It is the disability statistics from 2023. We have four stacks of data that are included. The thing to keep in mind here is that the orange is for people with disabilities, the blue is for people without disabilities. And for explaining the abbreviations and such, the orange in PWD stands for people with disabilities, and NPWD for non-people with disabilities. To get into the first stack of data, it's for the labor force participation rate. That is the percentage of people who are either working or actively looking for work. In December 2023, which was not too long ago, since we're in February now, December 2023, the number of people in the labor force participation rate was, the percentage was 40.8% for people with disabilities and 77.3% for non-people with disabilities. And this discrepancy indicates that people with disabilities have an inability to find jobs, which can lead to economic inequality and social exclusion. For the next stack of data, which is the employment population ratio, that is the percentage of adults who have a job for December 2023. That was at 37.9% for people with disabilities and 74.6% for people without disability or non-people with disabilities. The discrepancy in the data indicates that there are higher poverty rates amongst people with disabilities. The third stack, which is the unemployment rate, in December 2023, the percentage of folks for people with disabilities was at 7%, and for non-people with disabilities, it was at 3.4%. I think we're all familiar with the unemployment rate, but for definition, it is the percentage of people who are not working but are actively looking for work. This discrepancy indicates that there could be a variety of factors going on for the people with disabilities population. It's discrimination, lack of accessible workplaces, and employer misconceptions. For the last stack of data, which is the employment rate of 2022, and the reason why it's not 2023 yet is because the data collection process is rather cumbersome and time-intensive, so this is the most recent data that was available. For the 2022 year, it was at 21.3% for people with disabilities, and for people without disabilities, it was at 65.4%. This indicates that there are things going on such as discrimination, lack of accommodations, and inadequate skill training. So why do we care, right? The first thing that we need to really look at is why this is such an issue and what we could do to help everybody in the room, right? And everybody out in society. The first thing is that employment is a fundamental right. We all should have the ability to work freely in a job that is the least restrictive. The second is that it provides a sense of self-worth. Oftentimes when we're going into new situations or meeting new people, the first thing is, what's your name? The second thing is, what do you do for work? So I oftentimes will get the question of, what is a vocational counselor? I then explain to people what I do, and people are like, oh, wow, that's great. The third thing is that it fosters a sense of independence. I don't know about you guys, but I like to save up for things, and such as like a concert or sporting event, and use that money to spend it on that. And so people with disabilities, it's the same thing. And so it's good to make money, and it's good to be able to work. It's actually a therapeutic process. And lastly, it is a matter of social justice. It's also for economic reasons as well. People with disabilities represent a significant talent pool. Their exclusion from the workforce, it leads to lost productivity, and businesses can benefit from the diverse skills and perspectives. Fun fact, the bendy straw, the audiobook, and electric toothbrushes all came from having people with disabilities in the workforce and having a diverse perspective. Employers have a legal obligation to not discriminate against people with disabilities in the workforce, but employers must provide reasonable accommodations, and those reasonable accommodations do not cause undue hardship or expense to the employer. And then also, which I know this goes without saying, disabilities increase with age. So as the population is getting older, more and more people are identifying with disabilities. And so for this chart, which is the change in the employment population ratio since February of 2020, we could see for the blue being people with disabilities, orange being people without disabilities. It all kind of goes down at the start of COVID, and then as you see, it starts to trend up. Why is that? More and more people are identifying as having disabilities, especially in the post-COVID era. Personally, in the last, let's say, 1 or 2 years, have worked with individuals who had long COVID symptoms, hearing issues and other things as well. So, because of that, we've had to, work on getting back into the workforce. And so for some crowd participation, who knows somebody with a disability? If you want to raise your hand, I think I can see most folks. There we go, a lot of hands, right? Now, who knows somebody that's with a disability that's working? Good, good, all right. And then working full or part-time? Less hands, all right. So I'd like to introduce my brother-in-law, Jason. On the left over here, he's chilling in the car with me. Middle picture, he's him dancing with my wife at our wedding. And then the last photo is me and him at Cello's hanging out. He is a graduate of Pontiac High School, which is a local high school in North Situate, Rhode Island. Again, here he is with my wife, me about 30 pounds ago, and him at a Special Olympics event at Pontiac. He's also an avid Patriots fan and was, in fact, disappointed with this past season like the rest of us. He's also a Bruins fan, loves the Providence Bruins. Right, Jay? Yeah? I know. And he was a part of the Unified Champion Award that Special Olympics gives out for recognizing inclusion practices and so on and so forth. So here he is with my brother-in-law, Evan. And and it's all good stuff. So Special Olympics has this motto that I would like to everybody to eventually participate in, is to choose to include. So when you choose to include, it reminds students that when we give others the chance to fulfill their dreams, everybody wins. So if you guys want to repeat after me, you don't have to, but it'd be cool. So this is the pledge. So together, we have the power and determination. To ensure that no one is forgotten during this critical time around the world. I pledge to look for the lonely, the isolated, the left out, the challenged, and the bullied. I pledge to overcome the fear of difference and replace it with the power of inclusion. I choose to include. Now I vote you all committed. All right. So Jason is also very active in the Special Olympics Rhode Island circuit. On the left, he is doing track and field. He tends to clean up. He gets a lot of golds and silvers when he does it. He's also active in weightlifting for Special Olympics Rhode Island. He's also does the college program here at Bryant for Special Olympics and does volleyball and basketball. Some of you might have seen him. And yeah, he loves doing that each time of the year. So who in the room works? Hoping all of you are good. Okay. So, which is good. All of us have done the process of applying for a job, being evaluated by a person for said job, and then getting the job, which is great. So what I would do in this situation where I'm helping a client of mine or helping somebody like Jason is I would act as a job coach or job developer, and I would help them with getting a job out in the workforce. So Jason and I, 2 summers ago, tried to look for work. We looked everywhere that we could. Here Jason is filling out an application at a local golf course. And it was 2 years ago, we found an employer. So after much frustration, we found an employer that was willing to give Jason a shot. And so, much to my surprise, and Jason's surprise as well, because he liked, we got him cellos after every day he went to work. But he was able to show a lot of skill. So here on the left, he is cleaning the ports on the battery. In the middle, he's cleaning the buoy on a boat. And then he was able also to sweep the deck. And this boat was getting prepped for resale, so it was pretty important to do a good job, which he did. He also surprised me and was able to replace the door on this Jeep with power tools and minimal prompting. And you remember that, Jason? Yeah? Yeah, he does. Jason also loves using the leaf blower. So here he is on the left with so he's blowing the leaves in the parking lot. And every fall to winter, he helps me with my leaves in my yard. And he loves doing it. So, but to I guess, kind of bring everything together, even though Jason did get this opportunity with this employer, we still really haven't been able to find another employer willing to give him that chance of showcasing his skill set because, again, of how the barriers are set up to begin with. So what can we all do in this room and throughout the United States to help bring attention to these issues? So the first is to raise awareness and education, so understanding the abilities and potential of people with disabilities and understanding the rights of people with disabilities. So there are things such as the Americans with Disabilities Act, the Rehabilitation Act, and then also to challenge the misconceptions and stereotypes about disabilities. We should also have inclusive hiring practices, so considering candidates like Jason with disabilities for job openings, ensuring that those job descriptions focus on the essential functions of the job and make the application process more accessible. We should also be aware of workplace accommodations, so providing necessary accommodations to enable employees with disabilities to perform their jobs. This could include things such as assistive technology, flexible work hours, and modifications to the work environment, and also foster a sense of inclusion and an inclusive culture. So having a workplace that is respectful and so on and so forth, and encouraging open communication about disability and accommodation needs. A lot of times people don't come out and say, I have a disability, but having that open communication about these services are available can help improve and have people get more services that they need. We should also encourage others to, especially other businesses, to adopt inclusive hiring practices and advocating for the rights of people with disabilities, and also incorporate strength-based language. Now, strength-based language is, so rather than saying, so using Jason for an example, Jason doesn't suffer from Down syndrome, Jason has Down syndrome. So by saying that, it avoids portraying the person as a victim of their condition. Another common one that we all see is somebody who uses a wheelchair. So instead of saying wheelchair bound, we would say uses a wheelchair because it indicates that the wheelchair is not a tool for mobility, or is a tool for mobility and not a limitation. And then lastly, instead of saying handicap parking, which I know a lot of us say, we would say accessible parking because it focuses on the purpose of the space rather than labeling the person. So we should choose to include. And if you guys want to take your cell phones out, if you have any resources, I tried to get as local to Rhode Island as possible. It should go to the link tree, but yeah. I'm gonna wait a second for you guys to, yeah. I don't see any more cell phones out, okay. And that's it. Thank you guys.